The Valorian system, once a symbol of peace and prosperity, now feels the heavy weight of tension as the Deathworlder fleet settles into orbit. The stark differences between the two species' ways of life become painfully evident, fueling misunderstandings and mistrust. What was meant to be a rescue mission has devolved into a standoff between two fundamentally opposed cultures. The Valorians, gentle and advanced, value diplomacy, reason, and technology above all else. Their society is built on cooperation, mutual respect, and the belief that conflicts can be resolved without violence. Their cities reflect this ethos, gleaming towers powered by clean energy, with no need for weapons or fortifications. For them, the arrival of the Deathworlders with their heavily armed ships and aggressive demeanor feels like an invasion, a direct threat to their way of life. The Deathworlders, on the other hand, come from a death world where survival depends on strength, vigilance, and the willingness to fight without hesitation. Their culture celebrates resilience and combat prowess, viewing diplomacy as a luxury only the weak can afford. To them, the Valorians' peaceful nature is incomprehensible and even dangerous. Commander Kale Draven believes that if the Valorians do not toughen up, they will be crushed by more ruthless enemies like the Xylaris. The initial attempts at communication highlight these cultural rifts. Valorian diplomats reach out with offers of cooperation and shared knowledge, hoping to build trust. They propose joint defense plans and offer technological assistance to help the Deathworlders adapt to the Valorian system's unique environment. But the Deathworlders are suspicious, perceiving these offers as attempts to delay or deceive. Kale insists on imposing his fleet's dominance, ordering patrols to enforce strict control over key infrastructure and to train Valorian defense forces in his brutal combat methods. The Valorians, unused to such tactics, resist vehemently. They view the Deathworlders' harsh training as cruel and unnecessary, damaging not only physically but psychologically. Tensions spill over into the civilian population. Valorian citizens watch in horror as Deathworlder soldiers conduct aggressive drills and patrol the streets, their presence a constant reminder of the threat looming over them. Some Valorians attempt peaceful protests, only to be met with stern warnings and, at times, violent suppression. This breeds resentment and fear on both sides. Meanwhile, within the Deathworlder ranks, there are murmurs of doubt. Some warriors question whether their approach is helping or hindering the mission. Commander Kale, however, remains steadfast, convinced that only through force and survival of the fittest mentality can the Valorians truly be saved from extinction. This clash extends beyond military matters. Philosophical debates emerge about the nature of strength and survival. The Valorians argue that their technology and diplomacy have kept their civilization safe for centuries. The Deathworlders counter that their harsh world has forged warriors who never back down, capable of facing any threat head-on. Amid this growing divide, the looming threat of the Xylaris remains largely ignored. Both species focus on their internal conflict, inadvertently allowing the enemy to tighten their grip on Valoria's outer colonies. This neglect could prove fatal. The cultural clash reaches a boiling point when a Valorian scientist publicly condemns the Deathworlders' brutal methods, accusing them of exacerbating the crisis. Kyle responds with a show of force, sending a clear message that weakness will not be tolerated. Yet, even in this darkness, small bridges of understanding begin to form. Some Valorian soldiers, inspired by the Deathworlders' combat effectiveness, start training earnestly, while a few Deathworlder officers secretly admire the Valorians' technological ingenuity. As Part 3 closes, the story stands at a crossroads. Will these two disparate cultures find a way to unite against their common enemy, or will their differences doom them both? Just as tensions between the Valorians and Deathworlders reach a boiling point, the true enemy, lurking in the shadows, strikes with devastating force. The Xylaris, the mysterious and ruthless species responsible for the initial assault on the Valorian outer colonies, reveal themselves in full. Their attack is swift, brutal, and calculated, catching both the Valorians and Deathworlders off guard. The Valorian homeworld, still struggling to cope with the Deathworlder presence, is suddenly besieged by a massive Xylaris fleet. Unlike the previous skirmishes, this assault is coordinated and overwhelming. Their ships are heavily armed with devastating weaponry, and their soldiers are relentless in their advance. The Xylaris goal is clear: to annihilate the Valorian civilization and seize control of their advanced technologies. The Valorians, who have placed their faith in diplomacy and technological superiority, find themselves ill-prepared for this kind of warfare. Their defensive systems, designed more for deterrence than outright battle, begin to falter under the relentless assault. Panic spreads throughout their cities and command centers. Meanwhile, the Deathworlders, initially distrustful and hostile toward the Valorians, recognize that this new threat endangers them all. Commander Cale Draven immediately calls for an emergency ceasefire and proposes an alliance with the Valorian leaders. His pragmatic nature understands that survival depends on unity in the face of a common enemy. Reluctantly, Valorian diplomats agree to the temporary truce. A war council is formed, blending Valorian strategic minds and Deathworlder military experience. This uneasy alliance quickly sets to work combining their strengths, Valorian technology and intelligence gathering, with Deathworlder combat tactics and unyielding willpower. The battle that follows is fierce and desperate. Valorian starships equipped with cutting-edge shields and precision weaponry provide vital support while Deathworlder ground forces engage the Xylaris with brutal effectiveness. The Valorians begin to see firsthand the power of the Deathworlders, raw strength and tactical discipline, while the Deathworlders gain a new respect for the Valorians' ingenuity and resilience. Amid the chaos, Commander Cale and Valorian leader Thessa share a tense but growing understanding. Thessa, a brilliant strategist and diplomat, recognizes that Cale's aggressive methods, while harsh, are necessary in this fight for survival. Cale, in turn, begins to appreciate the Valorians' deep commitment to life and knowledge, something his own harsh upbringing had rarely allowed him to consider. Together, they devise a risky plan to strike at the heart of the Xylaris fleet. Using Valorian stealth technology and Deathworlder guerrilla tactics, a small strike team will infiltrate the enemy's command ship to disable their central control systems. Success depends on trust and cooperation between the two very different species. The strike team's mission is tense and filled with narrow escapes. Combining Valorian tech expertise and Deathworlder combat skills, they manage to breach the command ship and disable its systems, turning the tide of the battle. The Xylaris fleet, thrown into disarray, begins to retreat. The victory is hard-won and the cost is high. Both Valorians and Deathworlders suffer heavy losses, but the battle cements a fragile bond between the two species. They have faced near extinction and survived by uniting their strengths. As Part 4 ends, the Valorians and Deathworlders stand together, battle-weary but hopeful. The real enemy has shown its full might, and only through cooperation can they hope to defend their homes and their future. This new alliance marks the beginning of a deeper relationship, one forged in fire and trust, a relationship that will shape the fate of the galaxy. In the aftermath of the hard-fought victory against the Xylaris, the fragile alliance between the Valorians and Deathworlders begins to solidify. The dust of battle still hangs heavy in the air, and the wounds of conflict, both physical and emotional, remain raw. Yet amid the devastation, a newfound respect and understanding take root between the two very different species. The Valorian homeworld, once a beacon of peace and technological advancement, now bears the scars of invasion and mistrust. Its citizens are wary of the Deathworlders, whose aggressive tactics and imposing presence were once seen as a threat, but are now recognized as a vital factor in their survival. Valorian leaders work tirelessly to mend the social and political fractures that arose from the initial misunderstanding and ensuing tensions. Commander Cale Draven, battle-hardened and pragmatic, faces his own challenges. His Deathworlder warriors, bred for combat and survival on a brutal planet, struggle to adapt to the Valorians' pacifist society. Some soldiers chafe under the Valorians' calls for restraint and diplomacy, seeing it as a hindrance to their natural instincts. Cale must balance the warrior spirit of his people with the need for cooperation and peace. To bridge these gaps, joint training programs are established where Valorian scientists and soldiers collaborate with Deathworlder fighters. Valorians teach advanced technology, medical aid, and strategic planning, while Deathworlders impart survival skills, combat techniques, and resilience training. These exchanges foster personal connections and break down long-held prejudices on both sides. As part of this effort, Kale and Valorian strategist Thessa co-lead a critical mission to secure the outer colonies, still vulnerable to Xylaris raids. Their partnership exemplifies the evolving relationship between the two cultures, Kale's direct approach balanced by Thessa's careful diplomacy and innovation. During these operations, unexpected friendships form. Deathworlder soldiers learn to appreciate Valorian compassion and intellect, while Valorians gain confidence in their ability to defend themselves. A shared sense of purpose and survival replaces suspicion, forging a new identity that blends strength and wisdom. However, unity does not come without sacrifice. The Xylaris continue to strike sporadically, exploiting any moment of weakness or disunity. Skirmishes remind both species that the war is far from over. The Alliance must remain vigilant, constantly adapting to new threats while healing from old wounds. Behind the scenes, political factions on both sides debate the future of their alliance. Some Valorians fear losing their cultural identity to the Deathworlders' harsh ways, while some Deathworlders resent the constraints imposed by Valorian ideals. Leadership must navigate these tensions carefully to prevent the alliance from fracturing. Despite these challenges, the combined forces launch a daring offensive into Xylaris-controlled space. This campaign aims not only to reclaim lost territories, but also to send a message that the Valorian Deathworlder alliance is a force to be reckoned with. It is a test of their unity and resolve. The offensive meets fierce resistance, but the cooperation and complementary strengths of the two species turn the tide. Battles are won through a mix of Valorian technological precision and Deathworlder ferocity. Each victory deepens trust and camaraderie, reinforcing the belief that together they are stronger than apart. As Part 5 concludes, the Valorians and Deathworlders stand united, scarred but unbroken. Their alliance, born from a mistaken SOS and tempered in the fires of war, has become a beacon of hope. It is a testament to the power of understanding and cooperation in the face of existential threats. Yet the galaxy remains dangerous, and the final confrontations with the Xylaris loom ahead. After months of grueling conflict, countless sacrifices, and uncertain alliances, the Valorians and Deathworlders finally face the decisive moment in their battle against the Xylaris. The fragile but growing alliance forged in the fires of war stands as a symbol of resilience and hope, a beacon in a galaxy threatened by destruction. The combined fleet, a unique blend of Valorian sleek technology and Deathworlder brute strength, prepares for a final, coordinated assault on the Xylaris command stronghold, a heavily fortified fortress world deep within hostile space. This battle will determine the fate of the Valorian system and potentially shift the balance of power in the region. As the fleets mobilize, lingering tensions remain but have been tempered by mutual respect and shared purpose. Commander Kale Draven and Valorian strategist Thessa continue to lead the joint command, their once uneasy partnership having evolved into a solid foundation of trust and complementary leadership. Their contrasting approaches, Kale's pragmatism, and decisive action balanced by Thessa's careful planning and diplomatic skill, create a formidable leadership team. The battle begins with an intense space engagement. The Xylaris unleash their full might, employing devastating weaponry and relentless tactics aimed at overwhelming the Alliance. Despite the odds, the Valorian Deathworlder fleet fights with unmatched determination. Valorian starships exploit advanced shield technology and precise strikes, while Deathworlder warships use aggressive maneuvers and heavy firepower to break enemy lines. On the ground, joint strike teams consisting of Valorian engineers and Deathworlder soldiers infiltrate the fortress to disable critical defense systems and command nodes. Their success depends on seamless cooperation and quick adaptability, highlighting how far the two cultures have come since the early days of distrust and conflict. The battle rages on, marked by narrow escapes and heroic sacrifices. Both species endure losses, but their unity proves stronger than the enemy's aggression. As the fortress defenses crumble, the Xylaris retreat, signaling a strategic defeat. Victory is bittersweet. The Valorian system is battered, and the scars of war will take time to heal. However, the survival and cooperation of two vastly different species inspire hope for a future built on more than just survival, a future of shared strength, culture, and mutual respect. In the aftermath, diplomatic talks begin to formalize the alliance into a lasting coalition. Cultural exchanges, joint scientific endeavors, and combined defense initiatives are planned, signaling a new era of galactic cooperation. Commander Kale reflects on the journey, how a scrambled SOS intended for peacekeepers inadvertently summoned a warrior race that challenged and transformed the Valorians. He recognizes that strength is not just brute force but the willingness to adapt, learn, and embrace differences. Thessa, too, acknowledges that the Alliance has reshaped her people's perspective, revealing that survival in a hostile galaxy requires both compassion and strength. As Part 6 concludes, the Valorian system stands at the dawn of a new era. From misunderstanding and conflict arose a powerful alliance that overcame prejudice and fear. Together, the Valorians and Deathworlders have rewritten their destinies, proving that even the wrong call for help can bring about the right kind of change. The galaxy watches as this new coalition rises, a testament to the power of unity in the face of overwhelming odds, ready to face whatever challenges the future may hold. In the far reaches of the galaxy lies the peaceful world of Valoria, a lush and advanced civilization known for its culture of diplomacy, science, and harmony. The Valorians have long avoided war, relying on their technological advancements and strong alliances with other non-aggressive species to protect their home. However, a dark shadow looms on their horizon, a sudden devastating attack by a mysterious and ruthless enemy known as the Xylaris. The Xylaris are a highly aggressive and technologically advanced species who view the Valorians' pacifism as a sign of weakness. Without warning, they unleash a brutal assault on Valoria's outer colonies, crippling communication arrays and destabilizing the planet's defenses. Panic spreads among the Valorian leadership as they realize their usual allies, the galactic peacekeepers, are too far away to respond quickly enough. Desperate and running out of time, Valorian scientists activate an ancient distress beacon designed to broadcast an SOS signal across multiple frequencies. Their hope is that the galactic peacekeepers, a well-known interstellar coalition tasked with maintaining peace and protecting vulnerable species, will receive the call and come to their aid. The SOS message contains detailed coordinates, the nature of the threat, and an urgent plea for help. However, the distress signal's journey through space doesn't go as planned. Due to a rare cosmic interference in a nearby asteroid belt and a glitch in the Valorians' transmission equipment, the signal's frequency and coordinates become scrambled. Instead of reaching the peacekeepers, the message is picked up by a nearby fleet of Deathworlders, humans from a harsh, deadly planet known as Tharn 9. The Deathworlders, led by the battle-hardened commander Kale Draven, are the galaxy's most feared warriors. Their homeworld is a death world, a planet where the environment is so brutal that only the strongest survive. The people of Tharn 9 have evolved and trained to thrive in extreme conditions, harsh weather, toxic flora and fauna, and constant conflict. Their society values strength, resilience, and tactical prowess over diplomacy or subtlety. Commander. Kale and his fleet intercept the scrambled SOS signal and interpret it as a call for immediate military intervention. They don't see a plea for peaceful aid. They see an opportunity for combat, survival training, and possibly conquest. Their instincts compel them to respond swiftly and decisively. For the Deathworlders, weakness is a threat to be eliminated, and any sign of distress means a fight is inevitable. As the Deathworlder fleet sets course for the Valorian system, the contrast between the two species couldn't be greater. The Valorians are unaware that their message was misunderstood. They prepare for reinforcements that will come with diplomacy, healing, and protection. Meanwhile, the Deathworlders arrive armed and ready for battle, their ships bristling with weapons and their minds focused on domination and survival. This first encounter sets the stage for a dramatic clash, not only between two very different species but also between two fundamentally different worldviews. The Valorians see themselves as victims in need of help, while the Deathworlders view themselves as hunters, answering a primal call. Unbeknownst to both, the true enemy, the Xylaris, remains, hidden, watching and waiting as the seeds of misunderstanding and conflict begin to grow. The Valorians' SOS, intended as a lifeline, has instead brought a new kind of danger, forcing two unlikely species onto a collision course that could change the fate of the galaxy forever. The Deathworlder fleet cuts through the silent depths of space, a dark and formidable force led by Commander Cale Draven, a seasoned warrior whose reputation precedes him. His people, hardened by the brutal environment of their home planet Tharn 9, have long been feared across the galaxy for their ruthless combat skills and unyielding survival instincts. When the scrambled SOS signal reached them, Cale saw not a plea for diplomacy but a call to arms, an opportunity to exercise their might and test their limits. As the fleet approaches the Valorian system, the first thing that strikes them is the stark contrast between their own warships and the Valorian vessels. The Valorian ships are sleek, elegant, and built with advanced technology prioritizing speed, defense, and scientific research. In contrast, the Deathworlder ships are angular, heavily armored, and bristling with weaponry. Their battle readiness is unmistakable, their presence an unspoken warning to all who see them. Commander Cale commands his fleet to hold formation as they enter Valorian space. Their arrival sends ripples of shock and fear through the Valorian leadership, who have been anxiously awaiting the arrival of the galactic peacekeepers, known for their measured and protective approach. Instead, they are faced with an intimidating armada of ruthless warriors, their aggressive posture and overwhelming firepower, a stark deviation from any help the Valorians expected. Valorian diplomats rush to establish communication, their attempts cloaked in caution and hope. They broadcast peaceful messages, trying to assure the Deathworlders that they are the victims of a brutal attack and that assistance is needed urgently, but not in the form of violence. The Valorians appeal to reason and seek to avoid further conflict, emphasizing their commitment to peace and their hope that this misunderstanding can be resolved without bloodshed. However, the Deathworlders interpret these gestures differently. Their society views any show of weakness or hesitation as a liability, even a threat. Commander Cale's instincts tell him that the Valorians might be trying to hide their true strength, or even lure them into a trap. To him, their calm diplomacy is suspicious. The Deathworlders' cultural code demands overwhelming force as the best way to ensure survival and dominance. Tensions quickly escalate when a Valorian patrol vessel approaches the Deathworlder fleet unarmed as a gesture of goodwill. Instead of being welcomed, the patrol ship is met with suspicion and a show of force from the Deathworlders. The patrol backs away, sending an urgent warning back to Valoria. The Deathworlders are not here to negotiate, they are here to dominate. Back on Valoria, the leadership is divided. Some advocate for full submission to avoid bloodshed, while others argue that resistance is necessary to protect their home and their way of life. Commander Cale, meanwhile, interprets the Valorians' indecision as confirmation that they are weak and vulnerable. As the Deathworlders begin to deploy ground forces to key Valorian installations, the Valorian citizens watch in horror. What was supposed to be a rescue mission now looks like an invasion. The Valorian people, raised in a culture of peace, are unprepared for the brutal tactics and aggressive behavior of the Deathworlders. Amidst this chaos, the true enemy, the Xylaris, observes silently from the shadows. Their attack on Valoria's outer colonies was only the opening move in a larger plan, and now, with the Valorians and Deathworlders at odds, the Xylaris can strike with even greater advantage. The arrival of the Deathworlders marks a turning point. What began as a plea for help has transformed into a dangerous misunderstanding, a collision of cultures and philosophies that threatens to ignite a conflict neither species wanted, but both seem poised to fight.